Hi Storm Nation, Tyler Jensen here, President of Storm Products, and I'm so excited to get to give you a more in-depth look at our new Storm Innovation Division led by our own Chief Technology Officer, Hank Boomershine. Now many of you know Hank as one of the world's greatest ball designers, and at Storm, he is a perfect guy to lead this new division. If you get to look at our stormbowling.com website and who we are, you'll notice in our purpose, our very first action word is innovation. And Hank is a pioneer in innovation. With his experience in bowling, from working with the world's greatest bowlers to a gold level coach to pro shop experience, Hank is encompassing all of bowling. He is going to be fantastic at bringing us back to the roots of innovation and performance at Storm Products.
So a lot of people are going to ask, what's the innovation division of Storm? And innovation itself is taking that ability to take technology and innovate or change or manipulate or develop new.
Hank, give us your final thoughts on the new Virtual Gravity Nano.
Well, as we saw today, something quite unique. I mean, we had 3 bowlers that had never seen it before go down the lane, and everyone was just had the wow factor. I mean, halfway through the match when Johnny D's throwing it down the lane, he says, I've just totally destroyed this lane and this ball just keeps hooking. And it was amazing to watch that NRG cover stock, that nano-reactive genesis, that whole new technology, and even
Mrs. Chrisman and Tyler have stepped up and said, hey, let's put some financial backing to try to push this. Let's push the innovation. There's not just in bowling ball design. There's other things outside of bowling balls. There's other things even that we use in bags and accessories and shoes and other things that we can push innovation out there. But beyond that too is there's some technologies that we're going to bring to marketplace that are going to help the pro shop to make better decisions and easier decisions for them in laying balls out or making decisions for the players, for coaches, for players themselves. There's other things that can be brought to the industry that haven't been seen before, that now we're going to have the opportunity to develop, to foster, and to move forward with these innovations. The cool thing for me is every time I walk through the door, I get to see some of those very first designs that I was part of or developed myself. And one of the biggest ones that stands out to me is the Silver Streak. And the Silver Streak was kind of like taking things that we had in the building, pieces and parts, kind of like building like a Lego set. You're taking different blocks, and we had a shape, and then I had a design from the retro rotos that we inverted and used the ball at top, create a little more mass, and then a slug at the bottom, and trying to create something that was different. And it became Ball of the Year in 2002. So that was kind of like that first of, for me, good successes. I mean, we had Assault over here that we had. So one of the biggest innovations in kind of moving within Storm and helping in development and design is we always, core is one thing, but the cover was another thing. And for us, we didn't blend and make our own covers, but we used, we had a set vendor that we used and was a great chemist for us, and we were always kind of pigeonholed into the company that created. We created the best skid flip in the industry, but sometimes we wanted a little bit bigger teeth and a little bigger footprint. And we went down another path, we found another chemist, and that first one in those reactors that came, that hot rod hybrid, was kind of a game changer for us. And that reactor series, man, it was a bigger footprint, but it still gave you a lot of shape off the spot. And then fast forward, I mean, R2S, like that we see in a Special Agent, was kind of another one that was like that next, to me, they're kind of spots in time or plateaus in time that you kind of get to, and that's another level. And that just increased the level of, for us, in that performance on the lane, with a great shape inside of it, but trying to create another footprint and another kind of ball motion for Storm that hadn't been seen in the past. And between the reactor and the R2S, those were two big, kind of monumental times for us. So fast forward a little bit, let's talk a little bit more about like designs and developments over the years, and ones that kind of stand out for me. And it's really hard to kind of pass up the Nucleus core. And the Nucleus core was one of the first of the elliptical asymmetric designs. And we built it at the end of 2007, and it was the coolest thing about it is if you look pin side, that's pin, and then mass bias mark on the side is it has so much distance and length to it when you turn it and move it in a lot of different directions. And it had never really been done before in the industry. There's a lot of really cool asymmetric designs. I think I put in the Maximus core was in an Epic and a few others, but this one really pushed the envelope. And I remember one of the greatest designers in the industry, Mo, said to me one time, he goes, how'd you make a weight block that was like, you could really use it for anyone? And I thought, well, I was just trying to create something different. And I remember the cell, I think it made the first 7 shows or something on that 2008 season start. And so just something that, for me, started on a bar napkin sitting between Chris Sand and Tyler Jensen. Had a sales meeting one time, and I started scribbling and writing. And then between myself and another guy, Mike Truitt, who was part of our team in the day, we kind of came up with a really cool design, and it's been kind of a keystone in the industry for us. So this is kind of where it all started in some really crazy asymmetric designs.
Well, I went with a shape, and then trying to maintain a differential, and trying to be more consistent, and trying to give something that works for a whole variety of bowlers, not just an elite player or an average player. This is something that I was trying to give everybody value in this product.
Getting back to the equipment issue.
So, you know, people talk about designs, and they always talk about the big ones in asymmetry and the big ones that were monumental across like unique design, but sometimes you have to create a shape that's a benchmark and a shape that's, we know that can be used across a lot of different styles and players. And when we came up with basically developing the centripetal, it was a quick design that we were just trying to create a really simple, unique design with a couple of cutaways, but it was really about RGs and differentials in the beginning. And the Prodigy was the first one that we utilized the centripetal. And it was something that we knew, boy, ball motion was really good. Shape-wise, it was just different for us. It was a little more mid-lane-ish, read through the body of the lane better. And we knew that we'd created that kind of benchmark and shape. So centripetal was kind of that, trying to create that benchmark, and it started in Prodigy. We went to Marvel, and through the Marvels, the Marvel Solid, Marvel Pearl, and then progressing forward, modern Marvels, there was, and all of a sudden we went IQ. So that was the centripetal, that was the lower diff, higher differential ball. But then we also said, hey, can we make a tour edition or something that maybe doesn't flare as much, but still reads it like it's supposed to? And then that's when you came up with the centripetal that we lowered the differential in, and that IQ tour became another staple in design and development, basically in that shape, the same similar shape, just changing densities, changing a little bit of the slug density on the bottom. And then moving through, we've had several IQ tours, and we still continue to push the envelope with this shape as well too. It's some modern designs. If you go even to some of the newer ones in the Summit and other balls that we've done, you have that same basic shape. But you notice we keep putting newer renditions of covers, different footprints to the lane, but we've kept the same basic design, and the two different RGs and diff the same, but we've changed and put different tires around it. And it's been one of the most storied shapes for us in the history of Storm. In the years past, we'll go way back to La Niñas and other things where we were putting particles in cover stocks. And those were rubber-based particles, and they created a really cool footprint and something that was unique to the industry. But as we move forward, we were trying to find what else could we take that base cover and add to it. And so I came across virtual gravity nano. So we took that, basically that R2X cover, that base cover that was super strong, and then we added this nanospheres to it. And these nanospheres were totally unique to the industry, and we still to this day still have usages of nanos across our cover stocks. But we added it in to that R2X, and then we created this NRG cover stock. And the first place that was really seen was, we saw it at the Masters. I think it was 2011 Masters, and I think it was Tommy Hess that was at the stadium, and all I remember was Schlem going, "It's like he's bowling league here, bro." And I'm like, what? And when you started watching, he could get it back from almost anywhere. And then if he got it in the oil, it still read it. And so he ended up winning the title and taking that Masters title. And that kind of, for us, was that next kind of level. We talk about those plateaus. That was that next level of performance that we created with NRG. And we just kept pushing forward from that. And that gave us that good base to create that particle in the cover and create a bigger footprint for future renditions.
And the virtual gravity is by far the best ball we've ever made, most successful. And so you have to take a really good look at design development and try to figure out what can we do to improve upon that. So we know we really want to improve upon the core. So the next level is cover stock. Well, we did a lot of research. We found something very, very special, brought it to the market, and now we're going to call it Virtual Gravity Nano. Take that same great core that we used and put a new cover stock on, a whole new base and a special additive. Gives us even more traction. Very, very unique.
Virtual Gravity Nano. I got to know more about this.
In the days of developing the Velocity, the original one was in a phase. I had some good members of the team. Victor Merriam was part of that. We came up with a shape and design this Velocity core that was different and unique, and basically based on the pattern and kind of a rotary design of the cuts and everything to create that moving mass around and create a little difference in the look. We knew that this centripetal we made was very readable, controllable, read the lane, and gave us a lot of ball motion. But could we create a little more torque? And so the idea of the Velocity was narrowing it down a little bit, making the slug a little bit heavier so that we made it a little more torquey. And then we put a different TX16 cover on it. We introduced a phase 2, and it's 2025 and we're still making phase 2s, and we're still making that shape, and this Velocity core has been kind of a benchmark in that torquey performance. It's been across all the different tours, the amateur to the professionals love this shape and love that ball motion. And so this was another one in that design of trying to not necessarily push the envelope of asymmetry or anything crazy. It's just how can we take RGs and diffs and how can we change the shape to give us the ball motion we're looking for? More torque, more energy off the spot, and the Velocity core was the answer.
Let's go back to reactor, to NRG, to ERG, all these covers that we've learned over the years about what makes that principle so special to adhere to the lane, and A1S delivers that adhesion. A1S is a brand new reactive cover to come out of Storm products. We've increased the oil absorption because we know that increased oil absorption makes from shot to shot repeatable performance.
I think for the everyday bowler it's going to be great too, just because they don't have to move left. They can kind of just camp that spot, but the core is going to let it pick up.
We know that 80% of the oil patterns out there are somewhere between 39 and 44 feet. And we know that a lot of them have a little bit of taper front to back. It means a little more oil in the front of the lane, a little less oil down the lane. There are also a little more oil in the middle of the lane, a little less oil to the outside of the lane. So we bowl most of the patterns that we bowl on. And we know that the magic is that benefit of reading as it's going down the lane, reading as it's going through that oil, through that taper, slowing down at the right rate of speed, and then when it does hit the dry to have that continued amount of energy and motion off the spot to keep going through the back of the lane, to go through the pins, and give us the ultimate in performance and power. So we took a look at a lot of different shapes and things over the development process over the years, and those foundations and those baselines and those keystones for us in development and design brought us to a point, and they continue to be manufactured today because performance-wise and everything that they bring to the table is relevant and will always be relevant. But the key to those are our building blocks to the future and the development of what's to come next. And so the things that you've seen and the things that I've developed or we've developed along time are building blocks for what we're going to bring in the future. And the things in the future are going to be way down the path, and we're going to really push the envelope of development and design.